Hello and welcome to another tutorial, and this is going to be a follow-up in the Game Maker's Apprentice book using resources from said book. So any of the resources I use today, you need to purchase the book in order to get that. Again, that is the Game Maker's Apprentice Game Development for Beginners book. And we're going to be working on Chapter 3, which is called A Galaxy of Possibilities, where we're going to be making a Galaxy mail game using Game Maker Studio. I think that's 1.1929. And you probably hear my dog having his sniffles in the background there. And like her, I've got the sniffles as well, so I may be pausing this now and again just to sneeze. Right, as usual, let's get started. We're going to be opening up a new document, so I'm going to click on New. And it's asking for a new project, so I'm going to call this Galactic Mail, and I'm going to navigate to, here we go, Game Maker Stuff Tutorials. That's where I want to go. Click Create. Just make sure this is maximized. There we go. Just move things about here, we don't need that much space there. So yeah, welcome to the window, and I'm still working out how to get the top score listings. I've been going on forums trying to ask for help there, and yeah, just still waiting for answers there. But hopefully as soon as I know about doing the top score, I'll let everyone know. I'll make a tutorial about it as soon as I know. But other than that, hopefully we can do all the rest. That's the one annoying thing about this version of Game Maker, is that you can't do the top score thing. They've taken that out, which I think is a right shame. And I hope they bring it out. I hope they bring it back in later versions. I will be, if there's a place where I can scream at them, I will do it. But as usual, before we can do anything, we're going to create the sprites. And just a reminder, the sprites are the images or the GIFs with the animations in them. So if we go to Resources, Create Sprite. Just to let people know, if you want to create your own sprite, you can click on Edit Sprite here, click on a new document there, create new, or File, New, set the width for height. I'm going to be cheeky and just leave it at that, and you've got this little box. You can go in, zoom in, and you can draw all kinds of things. You can get the pen tool, just draw weird shapes. That's kind of neat. Get the fill tool, and then go red. A darker red. That looks kind of like a ribbon there. So that looks kind of like a ribbon in a way. But yeah, you can add one of those in, click OK, and if you want to make an animation out of it, you can click on this one, add an empty one, or add a previous one. Let's undo those. Make a copy of it, etc. You can always make your animations. Or there's a new animation tab here, so yeah, you can do reverse, add reverse, disappear, shrink. Let's see, try disappear. Number frame, let's say 5. Okay, so we've got animation where it disappears. We can click on preview. That's kind of neat. It's a flashy thing. That's kind of neat for a quick one there. So I'm not going to use that. I'm going to click X. No, don't want to save the changes there. So what we are going to do, we're going to be loading all the elements for Galactic Mail. So I'm going to click on Load Sprite. I'm going to navigate out of Even Clutches folder, go to Chapter 3, and we're going to need all of these. So I'm going to click on New, and Sprite _ ast. Okay, astroid. Now, one thing we're going to do that's really different with this, before we didn't really care about the origin point, which is this little guy in the corner here. You can't quite see it, but if I click and move around, you can see we've got this X coming up. Now before, it was in the top right hand corner, so we couldn't see it. Now as I'm moving this, you can see that the X and Y values constantly changing. What we're going to be doing that's slightly different with this is that we're going to set it to the center of all our objects. I'm going to click on center here, It does it automatically, dead center. We want to do that for all the objects, because we're going to add a rotation element in here, or when it hits the dead center, when things collide and hit the dead center of it, it's going to react to the other objects. So it's really important at this stage that you have center ticked, otherwise it may not work properly. So just make sure center there, and then when you're done, click OK. And very quickly I'm going to bring in all the other sprites, so I'm going to click on Resources, Create Sprite, Load Sprite, and what we've got here, we've got the flying ship, so I'm going to click on Open, and I'm going to click underscore flying, center, OK, and I'm going to click on the sprite image because that does the same thing. I do believe we have moon, load sprite, and here I'm just going to select this moon. Later on we're going to replace this with this one, but just for now stick with the moon. I'm going to load, oh, center, almost forgot that. Okay, and what else do we need? Let's have a look. No sprite. Let's look what we got here. Okay, I want the landing one as well, so I'm going to call this one underscore landing, load sprite, oh, center, then OK. And I do believe we need a title sequence, which we're going to add. Actually, we'll add that in later. We just need these ones for now. Oh, almost forgot. One more sprite's needed. Click Sprite, load sprite, and there it is. Explosion. We need that so that when we collide with our asteroid, it replaces our ship with that explosion animation there. And yeah, got a title sequence here. I'm not sure what these. Oh, we've got different planets. We're going to go a bit fancy there, but we'll just keep it nice and simple. So go open. And it's, what did we have? We had explosion. So there we go, explosion. I'm going to click on center. Okay, so there we go, a nice array of sprites there. So what we're going to do next, we're going to start creating our shapes, our objects, to move around in our room. So what we're going to do, we're going to, well, I'd say create our object, so resources, create object, and oops, bring this up here, a bit tight in space there. So what we need in this one, we need the moon, underscore moon. And what we're going to do with the moon, we're going to have something a bit different. So of course I have the moon sprite. Sometimes I always forget that, which is a bit silly of me. Now what we're going to do, the moon is going to move around the room. When it gets to a corner, it's sort of going to go off in the corner and reappear in on the other side of our screen. So kind of a repeating there, which I kind of like. So we're going to add event when it's created, when it's in the room. And before, in the previous tutorial, we had fixed movements, but this time we're going to have free movement. So I'm going to click and drag the second one in the move onto the stage, and it's going to apply to self, and this time we're going to add a line of code in here with direction. I want this to be in a random direction, so I'm going to type in random, open bracket 360 degrees and close bracket, and the speed I'm going to set to a nice slow 4. We don't need relative ticked because we don't want it to be relative to the stage. Well, it's kind of, yeah, it is relevant to the stage wherever it goes in, so we'll leave it at that. So I'm going to click OK. And now what we're going to do, we're going to add an event which kind of wraps the object, so it wraps around and goes to the other corners. And we're going to say when it hits the outside of the room, it goes round and goes to the other corner. So I'm going to add event, other, outside room. And over here we've got jump, the set of jumping icons. We've got this interesting one here, which is wrap screen. That's the one to make it reappear on the other side. So I'm going to click and drag that into place. It's asking, does it want it horizontal, left to right? If we click on this, we've got a drop down menu. So I click horizontal, which is left to right, vertical, up and down, or in both directions. I want it in both directions, so I'm going to click OK. Then OK there. And that's it. That's all you have to do for the moon object. And now what we're going to do, we're going to be doing the asteroid in exactly the same way. So I'm going to click OK. There's our object moon. And click on this guy, which creates our object, or you can go to resources, create object, but they both do the same. Bring this up. Sometimes that happens when you create all these different things. Object underscore asteroid. And load the correct sprite, which is asteroid. And then the next thing we're going to do, we're going to add the event just like we did with the moon. Create. Drag in the fixed movement. And we're going to set the direction to random 360, and the speed will be 4, just like before. Okay. And we're going to add event, and this one's going to be other. When it hits the outside of the room, we want it to do exactly what the moon does and wrap around, and that's in this guy here, in both directions. Okay. Now before we do anything else, we want to change a little thing. We want the asteroid to be, we want to change the depth of our objects. So to do that, it'll make sense in a moment. We're going to go into depth over here, and it's set by default to 0. I'm going to change that by setting it to 10. Okay, so that's the one difference you're going to do with the asteroid. So I'm going to click OK. Now we want to be able to test our objects, but before we can do that, it's always handy to have the background in there as well. And since we did it in the last lesson, it shouldn't be too difficult now. So you go to resources, create background. I'm just going to call this underscore space. Load the background, which is there. Open. There's a lovely space background, and click OK. And now I'm going to create our room. So I'm going to resources. Let's see. Create room, and I'm going to leave. Let's see. We're going to put in our background. So I'm going to go into backgrounds here. Scroll down, and here we've got no background. I want to change that. I'm going to click on this drop down, and it should have background space, which I created earlier. There we go. And because my space, let's scroll to settings, because the width and height, well, the width is 640 and the height is 480, the background is the same as well, so that fits nicely to there, and we can see that the speed is 30. Now we've got all that sorted, what we're going to do next, we're going to randomly pop in our asteroids and moons. So I'm going to go to objects, and we've got asteroids at the ready, so I'm just going to pop a few, just pop them around in there. Just using this navigator here, which is a lovely feature. This is the one I think is really handy. So just pop the one in the center there. And I'm going to switch down here. Remember, you have to be in the Objects tab. I'm going to switch down from Asteroid with this little drop down menu right here to Moon. I'm just going to pop in just a few moons here and there. One in the top corner there. Maybe one over here. And one there. There we go. That seems alright to me. You don't need to be neat or tidy with it, just pop them wherever because they're going to be floating around anyway. So I'm going to click OK. I'm going to save my game. And just wait a moment for it to say, there it goes. Now we're going to give this a quick little test run, so I'm going to click on play. Now because I'm running this game for the first time, it's probably going to take a few moments for this to work. There we go, loading beautifully. There we are. Now you remember with the, I think it was the asteroid, I set the depth to 10. That puts it behind the moon. You see there? They're just moving around, randomly twisting. Now the turning on the asteroids is actually a pre-made animation. The direction is just wherever they're going. If we have a look at the asteroid, double click on the sprite, then go to edit sprite, we can see the animation of it turning. That's how it's done. If it didn't have this animation, it wouldn't be turning. So, there we go. Just click out of that. So now we've got our elements set. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to start getting our rocket in flying and everything. Now, before we could do any of that, we're going to have to create a special moon as a starting point, because whenever the ship's around and it gets hit by an asteroid, it's going to blow up. Now, we don't want to put people at unfair advantage of having an asteroid coming right towards them. We want to put them in a safe place, because they're going to be jumping from moon to moon. So, we're going to create a special moon for our ship to start on. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to right click on moon object, and I'm going to duplicate it. And as you can see, it's got all the settings from moon object, except the name. I'm going to do this one, I'm going to call it underscore special moon, and this time I'm going to set the depth to -5. And one thing we're going to do with this moon, because it's going to be existing in there, we're going to get this one to play music, but I first need to load the music. So I'm going to click OK for that. I'm going to go over to Resources, Create Sound. I'm going to load in all my sounds. So this one will be my, keep sound in there, underscore background. Set to background music. And now I'm going to load the sound. Oh, when I make changes, it doesn't keep the original. And it's going back to chapter 2. That's not what I want. I want chapter 3. And music, that's the background music. We've got Galactic male theme there. We'll do underscore music. And unfortunately, I can't play this for you at the moment because my speakers have been acting up. So I'm using my headphones at the moment. So I'm just going to play this. Whenever you want to test your music, click play. Just wait for it for a moment. It does take a while. Yep, I can hear that good and clear. Oh, just notice there's an option here to edit sound. Oh, using an external sound editor, so, okay. My recommendation is always to have the, Adobe Audition. Yes, that's the one. I couldn't think of it for a second. That's the one I always use to edit sound. So I'm going to put all my sounds in. So, load sound. Let's see. Yeah, explosion. We want the exploding sound. I'm not going to bother. Explosion. There we go. And so you can set the volume for it and everything. And let's see what the sounds. Bonus. I think we might be using launch sound. Just pop that in there as well. Now I got my sounds at the ready. I can pop one, I could get the special moon object, which is going to be in the room straight away, to play the music for me. And because there's only going to be one special moon in there, that's absolutely fine. So I'm going to click on Add Event, Other, and this time I'm going to Game Start. So whenever the game starts, I want to play my music. So click on that, and I think it's main one. Here we go, sounds. Another extra feature in Game Maker Studio, they actually put little labels in here as well, so it makes it easier. So I'm going to click the first one, which is Play Sound. If you're ever unsure, you can always hover over it and it will tell you the name. So from the menu, I don't want no sounds, I want sound music. I'm going to click loop on, I want it true, so it loops the sound forever. Click OK. And that's it, that's all you have to do for that. Lastly, I'm going to go into room 0, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop in my special moon. Now I'm just going to make sure I've got that selected. There you go, moon special. So let's see, yeah, nice space up here in the center. So that's my special moon. So I'm going to click OK, save, so you can go to File, Save, or click on this icon here. They do exactly the same thing. And once that's done, which is kind of having a hissy fit because I'm recording, there we go, click on play, just make sure my sounds are playing. And because we've got all these new things that's popped in, you can see that Game Maker is converting it and just having a little bit of a fuss with it. Yep, that's playing beautifully. I can hear the background. It's playing moons for me. Yeah, it's quite a fun tune. Hopefully you enjoy the tune when you're working with it. Now you can go ahead and we can start adding our flying ship. So I'm going to create a new object and click on the ball icon there, which does the same thing. Drag this up a bit so it fits nicely to there. Wonder why this is. There we go, that's a bit better. So we're going to call this one object underscore landed. We're going to load up the landing sprite. Now, to make sure that our ship appears on top of our moon, I'm going to set the depth to -10. So that brings it really to the front. The bigger the number is, the more backwards you're pushing your object. But by making it a minus number, I'm making it less. And by keeping it like this, you can do it -1, -2, or -20, -100. That's entirely up to you. So what we're going to do, we're going to add a step event. Well, we're going to add an end step event. So click on Add Event, Step, End Step. The end step allows the actions to be performed immediately before the instants are drawn. That's the new position on the screen, so there we go. So we got end event. Now we're going to do something a bit different this time. We're going to tell it to jump to our special moon straight away. So in the jump here, let's see, we've got jump to start, no, jump to random, no, I think it's jump to start. So click and drag that into there. So from jump section on your move tab, that's this one here. Oh, no, this is the wrong one, not jump to start, cancel. And if you notice, when you do, even when you cancel, it always adds it in there. So I just want to delete that. So delete. Here's the one. The symbols have changed a little bit from this version. So I'm going to drag that into there. That's the one I want. And it's asking for, where's it going to jump to? Well, I wanted to attach it to my special moon object. So in this, we're going to type some code. We're going to tell it to go to our special moon object along the X and Y. So in here, just like now, be very careful. Whatever you spelt, or however you typed out the name of your object for the special moon, it has to be identical here. Even if you misspelt it in any way, or just put O, S moon, it has to be exactly the same. So if you do make a mistake, it could be misspelling. Even if you've spelt it wrong, it doesn't matter. It has to be the same. Now we've got object special moon, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to add dot X. So now where's X? There it is. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it into there and change the X on this one to Y. So there you go. Whenever you're doing these, make sure you add the X and the Y. And we do not need relative ticked, so I'm going to click OK. So now it should automatically jump to that moon. So I'm going to quickly test this. I'm going to press OK. Now I'm going to place, I think I need to place my object in there. I'm not sure. So we'll go test it now quickly just to make sure. So just checking the resources, checking what's happening. It likes to do checks. Okay, no, I do need to place my ship in there, so I'm going to double click on room. So it has been a while since I've done this tutorial. So there's our ship, so I'm just going to click it anywhere here, click OK, save. It's always good to save it, and test, and hopefully this should work. There it is. And because we've made sure they were centered, it's sitting dead center. So there it is, flying on that. Where's he gone now? Ah, he's slowly coming up there. So there's our moon object. Now the next thing we've got to do, we've got to get our ship to be able to come off the moon and hit the other moons. And when it does so, it needs to, the special moon needs to disappear. So that's going to be very interesting. Now one thing we did notice was that when we had our space, the rocket was spinning on the moon. Now we want to change this slightly, so I'm going to open up Object Landed. And just... nope, I'm going to scale that in. There we go, that's a bit better. Now, in the end step, we're going to include a change sprite. So, we're going to go to main 1 tab here, and over we've got sprite, we've got this one, change sprite. I'm going to click and drag it into the area here, and we're going to set it to self, change the sprite to sprite landing. Even though it's the same one, we're going to keep it as that. Sub image, we're going to change that to direction divided by 5. So hopefully that will stop it spinning and set the speed to 0. Okay. And once we've still got this open, I'm going to add in directions. Well, for when we get off our landed object, we're going to set keyboard settings. So I'm going to add event, and this one will be keyboard left, go to the move tab, and just like we did before, we're going to have move free. I'm going to drag that into there. I'm going to leave it self, and direction, we're going to set it as direction plus 10, and leave the speed at 0. Click OK, and I just realised I think I might have misspelt direction in this one. Yes, I did. You have to be very careful with spelling when you're acting your code. So just make sure you got it there. So there we go. We got to the left one. Now we need to do similar with the right. So add event, keyboard, right. We're going to have free move, and we're going to set it to direction -10 and leave the speed at 0. Click OK and test your room. There we go. And as you can see with my rocket, as it slowly disappears, it's not spinning, but I can make it spin with my keyboard. And I have to say the music is quite the distraction. Just wait for my rocket to reappear so I can demonstrate this more. There's rockets. And it's not spinning, only when I tell it to. So there we go. So I think we'll leave it there. In the next tutorial we're going to finish off the game and we're going to go right into making our rocket fly. So links will be posted at the bottom, or check out my profile.